From performance to personality, building brands that print money.
Maybe over the next up to 20 minutes, I can captivate a little bit of your attention. Maybe not, we will see. I will make everything different as planned, because that's basically what our business is. The first thing that happens totally different is I've never experienced the Sigma where we are ahead of time. So that's always a first. That is me. I have a football background, basically not only playing with mediocre talent, but also working for a handful of clubs in Germany, basically responsible for the media and also the marketing and sales part. I switched to Tipico many years ago, at a time when Tipico was, let's be open and honest, more a shady brand, and basically they hired me in order to captivate and to transform Tipico into a premium brand. And this, I think, at this point where Tipico is with 50-something% market share in Germany, the market leader, I think we did quite massively. What do you think? What is the most powerful and captivating brand in the world? Basically, everyone will now tell me Apple, boring. Coca-Cola, even more boring. Nike, Adidas. Maybe there is even one or the other German brand, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche. No, basically you are in it. Because from my point of view, Rome is the most compelling brand ever. As you can see, this all is by far the most beautiful city in the world. And I don't get paid for this. I just love Rome a lot. And why is this? Because Rome is honestly always delivers the promise. And that's basically what I will be talking about today is all about. It's about delivering the promise. Have you enjoyed Rome yet? Been for dinner somewhere? Okay. I'm also a massive AS Roma fan, so don't start talking about Lazio today, because I will get very easily annoyed, yeah? Let's start with the evolution of a brand. And when I was yesterday for dinner with a friend in Rome, I basically decided to make everything different today. I will not bore you with all the normal charts that where you can see how much spending does, for example, Flutter put on acquisition, and this compared to Entain and whatsoever. We will talk about something very special. And yesterday, having dinner with that friend, he asked me, why the hell did I say yes for today's presentation? Because, believe it or not, 8 days ago, at around 11 o'clock, I was lying on a table and being operated on. And he asked me, how could you be sure that you will be here 8 days later? And I said, thinking about it, basically marketing. Because the doctor who was doing the service, he convinced me that he will deliver his promise. And as it is in modern medicine, 5 days later, they shopped me out of the hospital and said, get on with it. And this is basically what everything we talk about at this point in branding is. You have the marketing side, and in the panel before, they said it quite openly. We have the marketing side, where marketing brings the customers in, and the product has to make sure that they stay. This is a little bit simplified, obviously, but if you think about it, this is what it is. So, how can you make sure that in our industry, a product really promises what our target groups want to hear and want to have? When we started with Tipico, we were having a very close look on what German potential target groups could be. And don't get me wrong, I'm 100% only working in for and in legal markets. So I don't have a clue how you do this on the so-called gray or black market area. We were looking and trying to find out what the key target group in Germany is really looking for. And being German and thinking about what German people are thinking about on a daily basis is trust and secureness. So this is what we were aiming for. So make sure that your customer not only is able to deposit his money, he also needs to be sure that whenever he wants to, he can get his earnings and his winnings. And this is basically the idea how the claim "your bet in safe hands" was born. And then we tried to find out who would be the best testimonial for that. In a market at that time, we are talking now early 2012, 13-ish, it was still possible to hire a very, very powerful testimonial in the German market. And the best one delivering on that promise, "your bet in safe hands," was the former goalkeeper of the German national team, Oliver Kahn. Yeah? Who could deliver better the idea of "your bet in safe hands" and giving the money back? So the first and foremost thing is, don't promise anything that you can't keep. If you make any promises that you can't hold, if the doctor who promised me that I will wake up after the operation wouldn't deliver, probably I wouldn't be here. So let's see what comes next. When we talk about evolution, okay, we have the brand-orientated operators. I told you I will not bore you with that. We have the performance-orientated operators. Then now have a very, very close look on the market that you want to perform on. It's quite easy nowadays. We live in a cacophonous world where there are so many messages going around. It's not so easy to stand out with your message. And don't get me wrong, but 99% of the stuff that we in our industry try to attract customers is the same. Yeah, this is basically fishing in the same pond with the same offers. It's a free bet there, it's a bonus there. So we need to stand out and we need to promise something that is captivating and is giving something more. Basically, we are selling the idea of an experience. And again, the marketing is the part where we spend and where we put this experience into a promise, and the product then needs to deliver. But there are limitations. Me working for a German brand and being basically responsible for the German market, I can tell you lots about limitations when we speak about the German regulation. Let's not make it a role model. Let's not talk too bad about it, because we are all quite glad that the first time in history of Germany we have a regulation nowadays. But anyhow, there are limitations, and you need to find a way how to perform inside of that limitations. The thing is, it's quite easy to acquire customers. It's quite easy nowadays via multiple channels with a more or less decent CPA to get customers into your product. The thing is, are these the customers you want? Are these the customers that will stay? And are these the customers that were looking for your promise? Are they basically the ones that are willing to go the extra mile with you? And from my point of view, and this is what we do massively with Merkur at the moment, is not focusing too much on the CPA part of the world, but more on how to optimize the ARPU and obviously the lifetime of the customer. Make sure that the customer who enters your product stays as long as he can. Optimize churn rates and make sure that the customer has no need to switch to another product. And we all know our customers, most of the time, we're not talking about 1, 2, basically we are talking about 3 or more wallets, and what I want to deliver is I want to keep them as long as possible in the first or second wallet. So, another quite important part from my point, again, is if you are only taking care of building a brand that is putting customer in, and as far as I know from many of my colleagues and friends, there are still brands that don't have the problem of making sure that the customer stays as long as possible, because they are basically coming in like mosquitoes heading to the light. But these are more or less markets that don't operate under a legal framework. From our point of view, it's super important to make sure that the brand is as strong as possible, so that the customer will and hence wants to stay as long as he can. So make sure that when something goes wrong, make sure that when there's any problem whatsoever, that the customer will stay. And how can you do this? That's on the one hand a matter of identification. Make sure that the customer has a field in which he can identify with your brand, with your promise, with your brand identity, and all the values that you try to deliver. And on the other hand, if that happens, then obviously he will not switch to the next best offer that will come at hand. So, but this is in business, and obviously we need to make money, we need to make it fast, we need to deliver onto our KPIs, and in order to do so, the best thing is to make sure that your brand cannot be harmed that easily. So you can build a backbone in a way that makes sure that your brand is not only sustainable, but it's also resilient. And a brand that is uploaded with brand values, maybe even the idea of where you want to stand in the next 2, 3, or 4 times, if you can make your customers part of that microcosmos, then obviously you will be massively able to deliver on that promise. Practice. We're talking about trust, we're talking about relevance, and we're talking about loyalty. Make sure that your customer stays as loyal to you as possible. Obviously, it helps when from time to time your customer wins a bit. On the other hand, if you can make sure that your customer has as many touch points in his real life as possible with your brand, then he will obviously make much more out of that on the long run. So coming back to yesterday's dinner, which was nice, by the way. When we're talking about a brand, when we're talking about how to make sure that the brand is able to deliver and position itself, it's always key to make sure that the promises that you give, you can in the end really fulfill and deliver. So I cannot strengthen this much more, because if you think about it, how would you decide where to get your operation, where to buy your car, which restaurant to choose when you want to have a real cool Swiss cheese fondue? Yeah, that's a really tough choice. So it's always about the promise, the brand promise, and it's always about what are you able to do for it and how to deliver on it. Anyhow, I heard that my colleagues who were before me, they were quite short. So if I want to, I can even talk much longer. But I would very, very much like to hear some questions from your side. Stuff that you think that is important with regards on how to make a brand really performative, and make it able to print the money you need in order to fulfill your industry goals. So tell me, is there anything you want to hear from my side? Any question you have? Anything you always wanted to know about the superb restaurants in Rome or the German regulation? Let me come over.
I work for an affiliate. We used to have a German site, casino record, but the regulation made. We're an affiliate site, Game Lounge. We used to have Casino Ratgeber in Germany, but the regulation came in and it meant the profitability of the market disappeared. We now see lots of traffic across our network, many of which originates in Germany, but then migrates out of the country, mainly to black market. I know you didn't want to talk about black market and regulation, but it is a big issue in the German market. And how do you position your brand as a trusted resource when, you know, the taxation systems are different and everything else? How do you position your brand to be extremely trusted when they're thinking, I'll take trust over ease of use and easy payouts?
So, first thing, thanks for that question and that you raise it and I don't have to. Because obviously it's a major issue in Germany that the black market is gaining traction, and if you have seen the last numbers regarding tax revenue, especially when it comes to slots, to virtual, it's now only 40% of what it has been 3 years ago, which is ludicrous if you think about it. And if you see traffic, and you can very easily analyze the traffic because Google gives it to everyone basically. I can see that traffic at this point that is directed more or less directly into the black market is 3 times bigger than the one that is in the legal market. I have a very easy position when it comes to slots. Merkur is by far the biggest, is the heritage brand of slots in Germany. My problem is much more, let's say not problem, let's call it a challenge. My challenge is I need to convince people that Merkur is also able to do sportsbook, which is quite hard, to be honest. Yeah. So what are we doing? Again, it's about the promise. Yeah. I want to present. I don't need the best sportsbook product. I need a very good and stable sportsbook product that delivers everything that a customer expects. That's the one thing. And the other thing is I need to find out where my target group, what is the promise they want to get from me? Yeah, what are they looking for in the market? Where is my USP in the market? And at this point, for being Merkur, being this heritage brand, this is what we play out very, very intensely. It's made in Germany. It's a long and trusted brand. It's for very, very long years on the market. So you can be sure that this, if you have a winning, that you get your money. Because in the end, this is all our customers worry about that in the end, that they get their money. Any other question from your side? So, Roma lost. It's a shame. Yeah. Okay, then one question at the end. How many people do you think visit Rome each year? Any guess? You can win something. I won't tell you what, but you can win something. 100 millions, the first? 40? Any other guess? So this is a very special year in Rome. It's a church year, every 25 years. So this year it's a absolute ludicrous. It will be a record ever. The last record was in 2023, was 35 million, and they are thinking about more than 40 million. So you overdid it. So this nice young man from Switzerland, I will invite him to a football match of his choosing, and he's not interested in football at all. So thank you very much. If you want to have a real presentation with figures and numbers, just reach out, I will send it through. But I thought maybe to talk a little bit more about brands and trust, and that it's all about delivering your promises, that would be something more interesting today. So thanks a lot, and have a nice Sigma Central Europe.